Stevens Floral would like to remind you Valentine's Day is Sunday, February 14th. Get your orders in early, as they will be open on the 14th for pickup only. Stevens Floral would like to remind you Valentine's Day is Sunday, February 14th. Get your orders in early, as they will be open on the 14th for pickup only. Stevens Floral would like to remind you Valentine's Day is Sunday, February 14th. Get your orders in early, as they will be open on the 14th for pickup only.
presented that wasn't in that meeting that won't be in the minutes of the city county health board.
Okay, then I guess I'll make my objection more formal, if that's what you wish. Thank you.
I don't know what you mean by that, making it more formal. But, okay, thank you, I understand, and I can take note that you have a formal objection. Do what you think you need to do.
I hadn't turned off the recorder when you adjourned because Rick started speaking, so it's still going. Do you want me to turn it off and start again?
Oh, we can just go, we can get the notes or do the minutes.
Okay.
That's fine, thank you. Okay, I'll start the regular meeting of the city council at 7 o'clock on February 3rd, 2021. We've already said the pledge earlier for the public hearing, so we'll just jump right in. First item on the agenda is minutes.
Move to approve.
It was moved by Russ, seconded by Matt, I think.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, on page 3, I'm talented, but I don't believe I'm this talented. Under item D, reports of officers and boards of the city, second line down, councilperson Hand moved to accept, councilperson Hand seconded. I don't believe I can do that. But thank you for
You were an overachiever last time.
Okay, what we'll do is we will listen to the recording and verify what person did that, and we'll fix that.
Once again, I appreciate your endorsement, however, I don't think it's appropriate there for me.
Agreed. Any other changes?
All for the question.
Well, I got one other one here too we need to address. Mr. Mooney's letter that was read into the record is not attached as it should be. Why is that? I realize he wanted it pulled, although it was read into the record, it cannot be pulled at that point.
Mr. Mooney, I believe, gave me permission to share that letter with the council, which is what I did. And I told him I did that. And he came in, was it Friday or something? And did not want it to be shared with the public. It was shared with the mayor and with the council.
You rang the bell, it's out there, you can't put it back in. That needs to go back in.
And I agree with you. I totally agree with you, Don. It wasn't my decision to omit the letter.
Yeah, but even though the person didn't give his opinion or his authority to do it.
Don't matter, she read it in the public record.
She read it in the public record.
If there's an issue, it would be an issue with the person who read it in the public record.
Okay.
I had the letter because he gave it to me.
I have no problem with that, I just wasn't attached to what was bothering me.
Well, first of all, I don't have that letter. I have Mary Jo's attached.
Right.
Well, that's what she gave me. She did not give me his.
Oh, because I had made a lot of notes on it. And
Oh.
so I had, but he sent it to you, Mayor, didn't he?
Well, he
told
sent me an
sent me
email.
it.
Is
Well,
that
that's
what you
what
read?
the email was the letter. The
Oh.
email that he sent you was the letter.
Okay. Well, I can dig that email out and print it and attach it.
I think that'll be best.
But I'm gonna leave that in there though, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree, that will go there, yes.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna bring you back next week, all corrections or-
If you want to do that, it's fine with me. Just bring it back and I'll have it changed.
Yes, let's do that.
accordingly. So just a table.
Second.
It's been moved by Don. Table until next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Aye.
Okay, I take that as unanimous to table. Okay. Next item is the petitions, communications, the ad hoc community affairs committee. that's just there for you guys to read and see what's been going on. It's not official, it's just it's the mayor's committee, so. Mayor's report, got a bunch of appointments. Hopefully you guys approve them. We'll start with you.
Is there any objection to this move to appoint them all in one motion?
If you want, as long as nobody objects to that.
I would make that motion.
That you, that we, a motion to approve items 1 through 8.
I'll second.
Okay?
Mr. Mayor, what's the official makeup of the Board of Adjustments?
Official. What do you mean official?
Citizens to...
Oh, there's a, there's 2 council, right?
Two council.
And then there's a zoning commission member that
Yes.
has to be on the zoning board.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be the chairman, but, and then the rest are citizen members, if I remember right.
Two citizen members.
And that's why
we got what it was.
that's where Mr. Stoker is the one for the zoning commission member. And Mary Jo is the council person,
And
or
Dan.
one of them.
And Dan, yeah.
And Dan's the other one. But he was appointed.
And then
Last year, I
Ed
think.
and Ed Mooney and Richard Miller are
Yes.
the,
And Richard's here for the appointment. And I got emails from all of these people saying they wouldn't have no problem being gone, Ken. Very good. Any other discussions?
All the question.
Questions been called for to make all these appointments, consent to the appointments made by the mayor for items 1 through 8. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous. Okay. That was quick.
That's scary.
Okay, reports of officers and boards of the city. 1, library board, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your package, you'll see the minutes from Wednesday, December 30th. I ask for your approval.
Move to approve. Second.
Been moved by Dan, seconded by Russ. Discussion?
Call for question.
Question's been called for to approve the minutes of the library board for December 30th, 2020. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Take that as unanimous.
And I see Lori's here, so Lori, did you want to say something?
We have a few things going on at the library. Is it on?
No.
I didn't think so. Click. There we go. Is that better?
No.
Okay. So we have a few things going on at the library that I wanted to mention. First of all, we have a scavenger hunt this week. It runs through Saturday. You go to 5 different stores and find the body parts of a snowman. You do not find the body itself of the snowman, just his parts. And then you create your own snowman and you turn it in by the 12th, and then we will vote on different snowman things and somebody will win a prize. So we'll give those winners out on the 26th of February. So go find your snowman body parts. You start at the library, by the way. And then secondly, we are doing our blind date with a book. So we have books wrapped up. We have a little blurb about the book, so it's kind of like a grab bag item. They're $3 a book or 4 for $10. And when you purchase them, however many you purchase, you can enter to win per book your name in to win a free night stay at Jackson Hot Springs. And then there's other goodies in that basket too. You have to be 21 or older to play. And then we also have fly tying going on this month, and we're doing it COVID safe, so we split it up into 2 sessions. We usually run 10 people 4 weeks. We're running 2 sessions, 5 people each session. And That's going really well. And then also in March, we're going to start up a genealogy class on Wednesdays from 1 to 3. So we've had a few calls. People are doing genealogy stuff with this COVID and being at home. So if you have any questions starting in March, that would be a great time to come to the library. Do you guys have any questions? We've got a ton of new books. We got a grant from Pilcrow and they gave us $1,200 in books. So we have 102 new books in the library. So, yeah.
Thanks, Lori.
No questions?
Thanks,
Thank
Lori.
you.
Thank you. City Attorney, Mr. Dolman.
Thank you. So I'll have a brief report tonight. For 2021 so far, we have 2 domestic violence cases. We just got one in the door. I think somebody might have been attacked with a hammer. If that's the case, I'm going to refer that to the county attorney for possible felony evaluation. We have had 2 assault cases, 3 DUIs, and 1 case of reckless driving so far, 2021, according to my statistics from Deb Pierce. I've been spending an inordinate amount of time the last week and this week with regard to finalizing some easement agreements with 2 separate landowners with regard to the city's water line. Currently in the process of preparing a site title opinion, which will be important in terms of the underwriting criteria for the bonds that we issued to fund the water line. And I'm working with Beaverhead County with regard to the limited portion of the water line which will transect the Beaverhead County Fairground property.
Any questions for City Attorney?
Can't you use the existing one through the fairgrounds?
The engineers have determined that that's not viable because I think it goes under some existing buildings or something like that.
Sure.
I can't tell from the schematic drawing what's a corral pen and what's a building, but at any rate, they want to skirt the northeast and northern boundary of it and then hook into the 2 existing mains that exist on the property.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
just a question. I've got, before the library minutes, minutes of the January 27th Ad hoc Community Affairs Committee. Are we supposed to review that, or why is that in there?
It was for your, to look at it, but it's not a committee of the council, and you guys don't have to approve it.
Okay, I just didn't see it on the agenda, so I wondered why it was in there.
Well, it's under petitions, communications, mainly just to say that we're just trying to keep you informed of what they're doing.
Oh, okay, it was between the minutes and, okay, I've got it. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Dolan? Okay, thank you. Planning Board, Mr. Hand.
Before you in your package, you have our meeting minutes on October 29th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Dan, seconded by Russ. Discussion.
Oh,
What did he say?
Call.
Oh, okay.
Call somebody.
Okay, the question's been called for. All those in favor of approving or accepting October 29, 2020 meeting minutes of the planning board, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. I take that as unanimous.
Apparently we have a meeting tomorrow night at 7, isn't it?
Yeah.
For other interesting matters, as I understand it. Completes my report.
Okay, thank you. Next item, zoning board, or zoning commission. How about, I think Raymond, did you go last time, or was it Russ?
It was me.
Okay, then it's Raymond's turn.
Before you, you'll find some minutes for December 15th and January 12th. Move to approve.
Second.
It's Been moved by Dan, seconded by Matt. Discussion?
As you see, we're still busy zoning and approving, I guess from 2 minutes we approved one and turned one, or I guess table one. I guess I see which meeting we're on actually. This garage was the one that's been going on for a while. It was an issue over whether or not his plans to meet what the government says, so we approved them. And I'm assuming it's being built, or maybe they're being sued, I don't know. But, and then this next one actually is a good reason why people should make sure they come to City Hall and get their zoning compliance certificate before they start building. I believe this is the building that's almost built, but it's being built in the floodplain. And I don't know what the issues is on that, but he didn't come talk to Todd until it was way too late, I believe.
That's Hoffman Garage?
Yeah.
It's right next to Craig.
Yeah. So I don't know, that's an ongoing issue. It's not in the minutes, but I believe the last meeting it was actually denied its variance based on floodplain issues and that. So that's something him and Todd used to work out. Other than that, we have a meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, yes, 2 Tuesdays, for the start of the zoning, the potato cellar area we're going to try to zone it C2. At least that's what we, the proposed recommendation, right? And then depending on how the public hearing come back and finding the facts, and we'll make a recommendation, and that will come to the city council for them to have a hearing. And hopefully in the next year, we should be able to get some zoning done. That will conclude my report. Any questions?
Call for question.
The question been called for to accept the December 15, 2020 meeting minutes and accept the January 12, 2021 meeting minutes of the zoning commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous.
That concludes my report then.
Thank you. Next item, Directors of Operations, Mr. Hazelhaver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. Guys are working very hard in various projects, but 2 things that I want to report on is that make sure that you complete the capital improvement plan survey. Start to get that information out. It's online. If you go to the City of Dillon website, you can fill it out, or if you would like to have a hard copy, we have hard copies here. So we need to get the word out on that to make sure that you complete one. And they're due February 26th is the day that they need to be turned in. So it is very important that we get those filled out, please. We had a floodplain presentation, public meeting with the folks from DNRC on January 20th, I think, 21st. I had 12 people from the community in person and 28 by Zoom. Good questions, good participation. As Mr. Graham indicated, do have a situation dealing with a new construction within the floodplain and trying to weed through all that and the do's and the don'ts and various things. But everybody's been very cooperative in working with that. So, and then also with the bad weather or with the snow, as I can say, it's bad weather. We've developed some areas where ice is building up, and we'll be addressing some areas where the drainage is causing some issues for some folks. So we'll be addressing those in the next couple days. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Police Department, Chief Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few things here. We've been increasingly busy as City Attorney Nolan kind of hit on a little bit there. As a matter of fact, I think Mr. Officer Bowman there, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you have an arrest like right before you walked in there?
Yeah. Literally about 5 minutes before, yeah.
So we're busy there. Officer Smith, we continue to have staffing issues just with injuries, nothing we can do anything about. Off-duty injuries, vacation. We have an officer at training now. Officer Smith will be back on the 5th, so here in a couple of days from her deployment and subsequent quarantine after. Dale Stewart's been helping us quite a bit with shifts and filling those shifts in. We're definitely a skeleton crew right now that's, I think, going to improve. Our new system's running and we're all trying to learn it, and I think the only one that has any grip on it whatsoever is Randy, and she's trying to teach the rest of us knuckleheads how to use it. It's pretty complex, but once we're in it, I think it's going to be very beneficial. So let's see, Bicentennial was kind enough to reach out, and they're going to purchase two bulletproof vests for us. So the next two we purchased, they have been nice enough to donate money for us. So yeah, I appreciate that. Every couple of years or every year even, sometimes they'll reach out to us and see what they can help with from a protective standpoint, and it really does help a lot. So we've been helping a little bit we helped with the clinic on Friday, with the immunization clinic, and it went really well. No one went crazy, nothing bad happened, and it all went well. So that's where we're at right now. I'm hoping to be back in the total land of the living here by next meeting. I'll have my second shot tomorrow, and hopefully that will kind of loosen me up to be sitting in there with all your pretty faces.
Thank you.
Did you see the front page of the Tribune?
Did I see it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
I think Officer Smith is on it, that's what I was wondering. It shows the National Guard being brought back to Helen.
Yeah, I didn't read, well, she's back in town.
Mm-hmm.
They just had a mass quarantine because of the issues that they have there, so she'll be back. She was back like on the 28th or something, because she's quarantined until the 5th.
Okay, thank you. Fire Department, Chief Closey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing for you tonight. No news is good news.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Anything on the new fire engine, or potential new fire engine?
No, I haven't heard anything back from them. As soon as they get the determination from their board that it's excess property, then they will put that out.
And did you hear from Streets and Alleys about potential fire hydrants?
I did.
Okay. I'll make sure you're made aware of it.
Yep, and I am going to go check that out.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, court's not here, treasurer's not here. Tree board, Mary Jo.
Sure, I think you have some minutes in your...
No.
No? Okay, sorry. I think the mayor also received an email. We all got an email Wednesday morning informing us that we are the recipient of, this is what we call our program grant. And it's a grant for, the base part of the grant is $10,000. And we have kind of submitted some paperwork for an extra up to $7,000. But right now we have received the $10,000, and that is the grant that pays for the summer worker, or pays for a portion of the summer worker. And then I think we got the Great Harvest grant, and that will be for $10,000. And trying to think of, it seems to me that there was one other grant that came in this week. Oh, I know, we got a $450, just small little grant, and it's gonna help us with reprinting. We have made some really cool pamphlets. There's one that's called the Trail of Trees. And because Stacy has been nice enough to include the tree board in the Dillon Days this summer, we will use that trail of trees and take people on little tours and look at trees. So that's what that grant will allow us to reprint those pamphlets in living color. And that's about it.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Good job. Thank you. Reports of standing committees of the City Council, Judiciary, Mr. Nye.
Yes, before you, you have the meeting minutes for January 19th. Ask for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Russ, seconded by Raymond, right? Okay. It's hard to hear sometimes, sorry. Discussion.
Call for the question.
Question has been called for to approve the January 19, 2021 meeting minutes of the Judiciary Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We lost him. Okay, I take that as well, with him off, I'm not sure I can say unanimous, because we just lost a city council member on Zoom. I don't know if it was intentional or not. So I will say unanimous if you put it in the record that as of right before Judiciary started, Mr. Wassel was not online. So he has exited the meeting. And we're kind of watching if he comes back, and I'll tell him he's back. So that was unanimous, but we'll recognize he is not in the meeting now.
Okay.
Anything else that you want to talk?
No, we're just still working on Title 10. Slowly working our way through it. We had some things come up that had to do with speed limits, and so we're reviewing that and sending some of it to Streets and Alleys for review.
I think we wanted to give it a good burial, right?
No, that would have been cemetery committee.
Excuse me, screwed that one up.
Send it to the cemetery committee from Street and Alley. We'll pass it around.
Okay, thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. Han.
Thank you. Before you, you have the minutes from our January 28th meeting. Ask for your acceptance.
Move to approve.
Second.
This is for the meeting minutes, right?
Correct.
And that was Matt made the motion?
Yes.
And Russ seconded. Discussion.
Call for the question.
Question's been called for to approve the January 28, 2021 meeting minutes of the Finance Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We take it as unanimous.
Also, we ask you to approve a line item budget report for January 2021, the fund summary for claims for January 2021, the claims by vendor report for 2021, and the budget versus actual report for January 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Russ, seconded by Matt. Discussion.
So, excuse me, I was just looking and thinking, oh my gosh, I have to ask you a question, but it's right here. There was that $100 check that needed to go for MUCFA, and it's written in here, but where did it go? Because MUCFA never got it.
Well, it hasn't been sent yet. We gotta have
Oh,
your guys'
yeah,
approval.
we
have to wait until tonight, and
To
then
approve.
tomorrow.
And then tomorrow it gets approved and then it gets sent.
I'll send her an email, okay.
Yeah, tell them it'll be in the mail tomorrow, assuming you guys approve it
The
tonight.
check's in the mail, okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that one.
Call for the question.
Question's been called for to approve the line item budget report for January 2021, the fund summary for claims for January 2021, the claims by vendor report for January 2021, and the budget versus actual report for January 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And take that as unanimous.
We'd also like to make a recommendation to increase the budget for ammunition for the police by $1,000. There will be a major price increase on ammunition between 6 and 15% coming down the pike here relatively soon because the major supplier of virtually all the ammo that we see in the western U.S. is upping their prices that much. I believe that's coming in April, is what they told me. So this $1,000 will get them through the rest of this budget season. Next we'll have to make sure we give them enough money for rounds so they can do the practice work, so they can keep us safe.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Raymond, seconded by Russ. Discussion. And on this thing, what we're going to do is, it's $1,000. Okay, Rich has gotten back.
Squirrel fell out of the cage.
And what it is the funds, 2,000, will spend 2%. Or is it, because we buy your ammo too, the administration, correct me, Chief? Okay, so I asked that question because then we can split it. 20% will be coming out of the 2,000 fund because they fund 2 police, and the rest will be out of the 1,000, which is general fund. So 800 out of general, 200 out of fund 2,000. Just so you guys know, it's not all coming out of general.
So where does that, where does this get deducted, the $800 that's going to come out of general fund? It has to, because the general fund was overspent already when we started, so.
Oh no, there was.
Well, I know, we had some in reserves.
Yeah, 500,000 in reserves.
Reserves, okay, but.
I think we can come up with 1,000.
$800.
Or $800.
Well, what brought this up is we was talking with one of the officers after the last council meeting, and he told us he had spent $400 of his own money on ammunition, and I didn't think that was correct, that the officers are buying ammunition for something that's required by the city and state laws that they do. They shouldn't have to furnish their own ammunition for their job. In fact, I'm kind of hoping that he can submit a claims check and get his $400 back if he has the receipts or something, but I don't know. But ammunition's getting hard to come by, I know.
It is.
We actually have been asking people, trying to find some people, maybe had a few extra rounds of 40 they could donate to the police for their training, but I haven't found anybody who admits to having any. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. But
If I can chime in here a little bit too, is we have the ammunition for people to qualify and to carry. The problem comes in is if people are, continuing practicing and stuff. So we're still able to catch to meet the qualifications. But, as I understand, I don't think, the bare minimum is not really the best.
Right.
You want to be able to do more, especially, that's a huge liability. And so, a lot of the guys do a lot of shooting more than the rest of us, and that's fine too, but some of that, I shouldn't say all of it, some of it is, what they're choosing to do as well. So I do think that this is, needed, but I think this should be okay for us for now. But next budget year, we're gonna have to relook at it, as Dawn said, with the price of ammunition. It's ridiculous.
Any other discussion?
Call for the question.
Well, I got a quick question. Will the $1,000 with the rate of increase that's taking place in ammunition, is that basically going to keep it at about status quo of what you're experiencing now?
Yeah, probably. I think like I said, I think we're okay till the end of the year. I think we'll be all right. Just have to look at the policy and see where this kind of came down into is the academy. We sent Kate up there, and Kate didn't have enough. They didn't have enough ammunition for the academy, so the departments had to send the ammunition up there with the officers. And they're doing like 1,500 rounds qualification course someday. So I mean, we had a lot of our ammunition going north. Now, they were gonna reimburse us, and then once you got up there, we found out they did get their shipment in. So we got those rounds back, but we're still, you know, behind the 8 ball on it. But yeah, I mean, the price will come down maybe sometime in 4 years. But it kind of ebbs and flows with political leanings. The manufacturers of guns and the manufacturers of ammunition, they don't get hurt when a blue party person takes the presidency, let's put it that way. Everybody buys and price goes up. Yeah.
All right.
Questions been called for? All those in favor of approving the recommendation for this fiscal year to increase the budget for the ammunition for police by $800 out of general fund and $200 out of the police levy? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous.
That completes my report.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Next item, Fire and Order Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Truly before you are the January 25th, 2021 committee meetings. And truly, I'm a luxury tonight to have actually the person here with me regarding the ambulance service district creation for Fire District Number 2. That was the biggest discussion that we had, and these minutes do not even shed any light on that. So with that being said,
Well, let's
Move to approve.
Let's do the minutes first, and then let's go in and let Jean present as much as she wants. Well, not as much as she wants.
okay,
You don't want me.
Now, we had Dan made a motion, was it Matt?
I second.
Matt, okay, Matt second. Okay, now we're in discussion for approving the minutes.
For questions?
Question's been called for to approve the January 25th, 2021 meeting minutes of the Fire and Order Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Take that as unanimous.
Do we need a motion for this to start? I guess I have a question for Mr. Goldman. I asked him this the other day, and I don't know if he had time to research this question or not. They had a levy over in Bozeman, and you might remember this, Gene, that the city council actually voted to approve and actively voted to recommend them to vote for it, and it ended up in court after it passed, and it barely survived because the city council of Bozeman committed their own little side committee or something that they did the work for. So before we make a motion on this to approve voting on it, is that something we should change the thing so the city council should be approving a recommendation to vote on a mill levy?
No, I have not had the opportunity to look into that question. I'm just too occupied with the water line right now under that one.
And that wasn't the issues of that sermon.
Yes, well.
It was, well, I don't want to, but that wasn't the issue. I mean, I studied that case because of when we wanted to create the park district, and it had to do with creating the park district
Correct.
in
That's what
Bozeman.
This is for. Creating an
Yeah,
ambulance.
well, this is for ambulance.
A district's a district, the same rules apply. I don't believe personally that the city council, and I'm not against this at all, don't get me wrong right there, but I don't think the city council can actually move to.
You're talking under the ethics laws.
Right.
It says
I don't
the
think we
governing
can
body
recommend
cannot, or
recommend
people of the body, using the bodies
Right.
can say support something that will be up on the ballot
Oh.
under ethics. Is that what you're?
That's what I'm asking for, right.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I brought up because the one in Bozeman, if you recall their district, is the city council in Bozeman got together and formed a committee to actively pursue to get people to vote for that. And
Well,
then-
that was the charge, and then they went to court and they proved that, no, that didn't happen.
That was because the city council actually started a private corporation that they was all involved in, and everything was done to the private corporation.
I believe that's what I remember.
Yeah,
They got out of it because they formed another non-profit.
Right. So anyway, I guess I want to be careful on the motion, to recommend to approve or,
Yeah, I never thought
you see what I'm
about this.
saying? I mean, I would be happy to make a motion to recommend that this goes to a public vote.
Would that be
Would that
okay?
be?
I think that's probably more accurately reflects the role of the council is putting it up.
Right.
Or, you know, facilitating a referendum on the question seems to be.
Okay, so would you restate again?
I would just make the motion that we approve sending this to a referendum.
Okay.
Second.
That was Raymond made the motion, Dan seconded. Discussion? Maybe we can hear from Gene now. I know I had to sit a little too much.
But I just,
It's only word, I'm not disagreeing.
So, thank you. My name's Jean Bergeson. I'm the president of Beaverhead EMS at the moment. I do want to make one clarification, actually two now. But in the newspaper today, it said that this covered Beaverhead County. That is not the case. And it does not just cover Fire District 2. So, this is the map of the district that we are proposing. And what's being added to it is this little portion of down by Melrose, this little piece of Stone Creek, and this tiny little piece on Hogsback.
That's in the packet.
Right,
So people-
Yeah, but this is generally Fire District 2, so it follows the boundaries of Fire District 2, but it does not cover the whole county. Okay, it is just that district. The other ambulance services in the county all have funds that they receive through their fire departments through the county already. We are the only ones that don't. So what we are doing is proposing this district and asking the city for clarification just for a motion to support it, establishing the district. What we are hoping to do, and I think we will be successful in that if this last year is an indication, is making sure that we have one on-duty person paid all the time, 24/7, and we will have our volunteers, ambulance people, or other employees if we need them, as the second responder on all ambulance runs, so that we have a 24/7 service. This year has been phenomenal because we not only had a person on duty and a person on call, we had a third person on call. So there were no runs this year, and I can say this emphatically, no runs this year that had to be canceled because the ambulance crews could not cover it. The only time they were canceled is transfers out of town and the hospital couldn't get a nurse to take that run. It is critically important at this point that we look to the future of having a paid, at least in part, a paid service maintained and supported by our volunteers because of the number of our runs. In 2019, we had 615 runs. In 2020, we had 614 runs. And although it sounds like it's the same number of runs, the dynamics are significantly different. In March and April of 2020, we had very few runs because the hospital did a really good job of saying, don't come to the hospital. So we did not get responses. And we also had, I think, in that 2-month period of time, maybe 8 transfers out of town because other hospitals weren't taking patients. So essentially for the month of March and April, we were down significantly. If we had had the normal amount of runs that we had in any given month, we would be bumping up against 680 probably runs. The other thing that we did in 2020 is for 4 months of the year, we actually had a second crew. So we actually had 5 people responding or able to respond because we approached the hospital and offered for them to do what's called a doctor assist patient contact. We didn't transport the patient, but if the doctor had a patient that they needed to look at because they weren't coming in, they would contact us. We bought 2 iPads to go to the patient's house, and we would put the patient on the iPad. The doctor could talk to the patient. We were their eyes on the scene, and we would take their vitals and relay that to the doctor. Wasn't used significantly. We want to continue that, however. because I think it's a really nice option for the docs and the patients. But the other big thing that we did, that we're doing, and I've talked about this before, generally in the past we have relied on our officers to be on scene, and because of their limited numbers and the concern that they not be exposed to COVID, they chose to not go, and that is justifiably correct. They should not have been exposed because we had the equipment, we had everything that we needed. So we have been called on what's called a lift assist. Somebody fell out of bed, somebody fell down and just needed help to get up. We had 39 of those in the year. I believe that's probably going to continue because if we have a crew that's available, there's not a lot of reason for the officers to have to go do that. So I think that will continue. So we are requesting a $35 annual fee to fund in part only staffing for the ambulance. And that will probably, you can look at it two ways. That would probably pay for 3 full-time employees, or if we use it for benefits, which benefits, as you know, is health insurance, which I think is really critical to have if we're going to keep employees on the service. There's not a lot to do in the ambulance service on any given day, and they're kind of backed up against each other. So if we can offer benefits, I think it gives us a little bit better chance of keeping employees as employees. And if our members want to apply for those jobs, they can do that and become employees, not members. So that is what we are doing. I think we've done an incredible job this year, and I have told my folks that repeatedly. Any questions? And I only brought one piece of paper, because they got a lot more.
Gene, I've got one question.
Okay.
What's the nuts and bolts of Can't institute billing for services to insurances and perhaps individuals?
We already do, Rich.
Pardon me?
We already do bill. I mean, that is the majority of the funding is from the billing of our patients. Our budget is $400 and some thousand that we calculate to maintain the service and keep a full-time staff. And the majority of that is coming from the billing that we have for patients.
Can you tell me why it is as patients we never see any paperwork on that?
Because we are a private nonprofit.
Yeah.
It's not public record. So
even though you're billing Medicare and insurances and whatever, it's not appropriate and it's not required that you provide the patients with the information on when and what's being billed?
The patient? Yes, the patient gets the bill.
Yeah, we're on here for August 20th, and we never saw any paperwork on it at all from the ambulance.
Is it billed through the
It goes to
hospital?
the insurance company, and the insurance company will send you a bill eventually.
So I guess I'm not sure what you're on here for August.
Well, normally, because we're part of Medicare, we'll get paperwork indicating that Medicare has been billed for an item and what they've paid, etc. We'll also get paperwork from our supplemental insurance
Oh, okay.
for Medicare that will indicate what's going on.
So you had
in the case of the ambulance, I noticed there was just crickets. We never got anything. And I assumed you were billing.
Oh, maybe you didn't get billed. Because normally you would. I mean, we have a billing company that does all of our all of our bills. So normally you would, Rich, if, I'll look and see if you got billed.
I can probably help you. My
I'm
father,
sure the insurances took care of it, but you just never saw anything, so
Yeah.
I just wondered what the nuts and bolts were.
Well, and we have no control over Medicare sending you their EOBs or your supplemental sending you your EOBs. That comes from them. And Pitler Billing, who's our billing, that sends the bills. Raymond?
my father actually was transferred to Sheridan Video Ambulance in, I want to say it was in October. In June of the next year, I finally got a thing from the insurance company saying they paid the bill.
It's horrible. And for ambulance services, I can tell you, it's twice as bad as hospitals to get those. And that's why we had to go with the billing company, because they keep working on trying to get that.
Well, it's only been 6 months, so maybe we've got that to look forward to.
Yeah, I suspect you do. I suspect you do. If you don't get it, Rich, just thank us profusely and give us a donation. Okay.
You got it.
All right.
Gene?
Yeah?
Gene, if I could, I would just like to reiterate what you said, is I'm very impressed with how the ambulances handle themselves through this. Extremely impressed, actually. When we made the decision to not be able to really assist you like we had in the past, it was a really difficult decision. And I'm very impressed on how the staff has handled themselves. So, yeah, please tell them good job from me and the rest of the department.
Thank you, Don. One thing I did want to say, in the resolution, you'll see that there is a consideration for a part-time manager. When I was at the Fire and Order Committee, I said there was a manager. He is now gone. So we will look at a part-time manager. He's gone. So that is one of the considerations, because there is a group of us that have been there for a long time, and we each do kinds of different things. Like one person does all of the calendaring and the scheduling, and some of the people, 2 or 3 of them, do all of the submitting to Pitler Billing. Some people do ordering. I do the kind of the behind the scenes things with Medicare. There's a revalidation that you have to do every few years. There's Noridian, which is your Medicare stuff or Medicaid stuff. You have to submit things for that every few months. I do that. We need somebody that kind of collects all of those pieces and coordinates all of that for the service. We desperately need that. So I think we do a pretty good job of not losing things in the cracks, but it can't just continue that way. So.
Okay.
I'd like to reiterate the chief's comments. We're very lucky and blessed to have the ambulance services available that we have. Having lived in large cities where ambulance services are either provided by mostly large privately held companies and or locally funded municipal services through the fire department, we're comparatively really blessed in terms of promise of service, quality of service, of the EMT's ability to coordinate with the hospital doctors on many levels. So kudos to the ambulance department and everyone that's associated with it.
Thank you, Rich.
Now, if I read the resolution right, there's actually going to be 2 ambulance companies. The paid one, which gets the tax dollars, and then the BEMS. Is that right or wrong?
There is an ambulance district, which is this. There is a board of trustees that will administer the ambulance district. So basically, they have a minimal job at this point. What they will do is say, okay, we've got the money, we will give it to you, you tell us, you make sure that it's used appropriately. And in the resolutions, there are, it specifically says it's for staffing, possibly a part-time manager or benefits. No equipment, no supplies, no vehicles, anything like that. That remains on the ambulance, on BEMS. So this district, it's like the fire district, except there's no bills that the ambulance district is going to pay. There's no anything like that. It's just to administer that money and make sure that it is appropriately spent. But they have no say on if we buy an ambulance or if we buy a roll of Curlex or if we buy a Jimmy Quick Splint, which you can't get, unfortunately.
So basically, they're just gonna be an in-between that passes you over money. That's all that's gonna be.
Yeah. And the change to the resolution is obviously if the district doesn't pass, then there's no board. So the resolution is that the contingent on the passing of the district, because the election has to be both on the same day.
Okay. Because aren't your volunteers paid when they go on a run too?
They are.
Okay, because I saw volunteer and I heard it's over they're paid in here, so I was a little confused as to how that was working. I knew in the past you got paid a very minimal amount to test.
It's still a relatively minimal amount. We do pay to have people on call. That's the way to get them on call. And we pay them to respond. So once they commit to being on that on-call calendar, they show up. One of the things that the manager needs to do is when they don't show up, the manager's going to have a little visit with them and say, where were you? And that's one of the things that we're a little bit lax on, but it's also one of the things that we haven't really had a significant problem with, except in a couple cases.
And also, if you looked at your staffing levels, trying to do a 365.4 system on 3 people is really tough.
No. I'm not saying there's only going to be 3 full-time people. I am saying that this money that we will get from this ambulance district, if we get it, will be sufficient to hire 3 full-time people. We will have probably 7 full-time people, 6 or 7 full-time people, but that's on the ambulance.
Okay. Because I know the chief runs a crew of about 10. He has total meetings at standard. That's what I was wondering.
No, and that's been a consistent misunderstanding is, oh, you're only going to hire 3 people. No, we will have a 24/7 full-time shift. Whether we hire people just to come in and be that employee, or if we hire some of our volunteers now to be that employee and they become an employee and not a volunteer. But we will need at least 6 to 7 people. Minimum.
At least,
yeah, minimum.
Okay. I was concerned you're understaffing yourself.
No, and then we always have the option. I mean, there are people on the service now that want to be, that are more than happy to take a shift, this day shift or this day shift. So part-time as well as full-time, but just so those shifts are covered.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for asking that. I've had to clarify that a couple times and I forget.
So I've got a few questions for you. Do you have what we have in our packet, the resolutions?
I do. I don't have them with me, no.
Can somebody give me a copy? So if you're looking at page 1, go ahead and flip it over. That was the meeting minutes, I think, or something. The resolution ordering a referendum on the creation of the Beaverhead Ambulance Services, that one, page 1 should be that.
Right.
Yeah. All right, if I count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whereases. It says, whereas the board has determined that the proposed ambulance district will be administered by an elected board of 5 qualified citizens. What is a qualified citizen?
They live in the district.
And they're a U.S. citizen?
18, I think, right?
They have to be 18, they're a U.S. citizen. Anybody that can run for an office. So essentially it is running for an office. So if they live in that district and they are qualified to run for any office, that's a qualified citizen.
Well, when I look at Montana Code Annotated 7-1-201-12, or line item 12, it states that they need to be a U.S. citizen living in that district, and if the county commissioners want to add to that, they can. And is it my understanding that they're not going to add to it, they're just going to use what is here, they're a U.S. citizen, and who reside within the boundaries of the ambulance district?
I guess, I don't know, I mean, I'm not sure what your question means.
Well, I didn't know if they, when I read this, I read it as a qualified citizen, and it just kind of stops there, who resides in this. So I think if this goes to the general public for a vote, I may not be the only person that questions, well, what's a qualified citizen? And it may cause people to vote no because they don't understand the terminology. I just wonder if it wouldn't be better to actually spell out what constitutes a qualified citizen should they choose to run for the board.
So the statute that you just cited, which I don't have.
7-1-201, line item 12. The only reason I know that is later in some of these, it talks about how one thing pertains to another in that particular code. And if you read down through that code, you get down to item number 12, and it talks about who's qualified. And I just wonder if it wouldn't be better, since we use the code annotated in the paragraph just above, 7-11-1011, would it be in the best interest so that the voting public can look that code up and go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm okay with this resolution, and vote yes.
Well, so 7-1-201,
And then -12, which would be the 12th line item down.
yeah, which I don't have.
Yeah,
So I can't give you an answer to that. But I will tell you that this was passed by the commissioners Monday.
okay.
So it's, I don't know, it wasn't a question,
Okay.
so I don't know.
All right, so if we move 2 paragraphs farther down where it starts at, it is further resolved.
Mm-hmm.
You get, and you look right under the word further, and you got the number 5 in parentheses.
Mm-hmm.
It says qualified individuals.
Mhm.
Why is it individuals and not citizens? Staying status quo with the rest of them.
That's just drafting. I can't answer that.
All right.
This was drafted by an attorney that we hired that does a lot of these,
Mhm.
so I don't know.
Second page. A, initial maximum annual assessment, paragraph. To fund the ambulance district will be $35 and will be imposed on each residential lot or parcel. So does that mean since I own 4 city lots and my house sits and has a dwelling portion of my house on 4 city lots, that my portion's gonna be $140?
No, it's how you're taxed right now. So it's gonna be $35. It's just like mine. I have 5 lots.
Okay.
I'm taxed for a lot.
Okay,
Because your house sits on across those lots. I mean, honest to God, I don't think you could build a house on each
and
individual.
when I read that, I was like, whoa,
No.
I don't like that.
So, do you have, I didn't give it to you, did I? There's 2,907 residential, something like that, and then 46 commercial and 121 mobile homes.
Yes.
So that's what they had come up with last year. Now, obviously, given this year, that's changed. But that's what we had last year, was those numbers. So if your house sits across 4 or 5 lots like mine, I am taxed on that. And it identifies each one of those
Okay.
on your tax notice, but it's lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, or whatever mine is. But it's your tax collectively.
Okay.
So no, $35.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Regarding you throwing out some of those numbers, which I've heard some of those, but they weren't in here, it was also shared with me that the hospital will not pay.
The hospital is a tax exempt entity. The dorms at the University of Utah are tax exempt. Bicentennial, Brookside, and Snowcrest are tax exempt.
Villa is set.
The Forest Service, the post office, what'd you say?
The villa
The villa.
is
Yeah.
tax exempt.
They're all tax exempt. Now, we are going to approach them to voluntarily do that.
Okay.
Because obviously,
More money?
more money. The hospital gets a benefit, the dorms, the college gets a benefit. I don't know that we can't make them, but we can certainly approach them because at any given time, we could be at any one of those places. The city of Dillon is exempt. So we are going to do that. Just see if we can make contact with them and say this is what we're proposing.
Okay.
It would be, obviously our bread and butter is transfers out of town. That's where we get the majority of our money. As opposed to the short in-town runs, but we, for whatever reason, can collect better on out-of-town transfers. But that benefits us, but it certainly benefits the hospital.
So then if we move on down to line item D on that same page, when I read that, I'm left with an understanding of the proposed ambulance district will be administered. When I read that word, it leads me to believe that that board will govern everything. And I know you said a second ago, and then when you turn the page and you get on to the next resolution, it talks about the other board is going to be the governing board. Basically, if you go down, so if we go to the next second whereas on that one, Montana Code Annotated 7-11-1021 provides where a special district is to be governed. Right there, I would suggest that if it's going to be worded like that, that district is to be governed, then the Montana Code Annotated that is referenced here should be 7-11-1021-2A. Because that's where it talks about governed by a separate board. If you look at Montana Code Annotated 7-11-1021, number 1 says that the special district must be administered by the governing body or by separate elected or appointed board. So, to me, the first one says it's going to be administered by the elected board, but I go to the second resolution and it says that it's going to be governed by a separate board, which conflicts the two.
No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I mean, all this is saying is, this is the resolution for the board. So, resolution establishing qualifications for Beaver Head Ambulance Services Special District Administrative Board. This is the resolution for the board, and it says what the board will do. This is the resolution for the district.
Okay. Well, it goes on to state that whereas although Montana Code Annotated 71-2011B talks about the board lengths, let me go back, sorry, I went to the wrong spot. In that same first paragraph that we were just talking about, 7-11-201, if you go on down the third line, Title 7, Chapter 1, Part 2, and must specify the powers and duties granted to the board.
Right.
Nowhere in here does it specify what the other board's powers and duties are.
What other board? There is no other board.
The board.
The board. The ambulance district
You're going to have a
board.
district board.
Right.
Could be EMS.
It has nothing to do with this. This is the ambulance district board. We are asking to establish an ambulance district for funding to provide staffing for the ambulance service.
So then why does 7-11-1021, line item 1, read, provides where a special district must be administered by the governing body or by a separate elected or appointed board.
Because that's the way a district, whether it's an ambulance district, the fire district, or any other district, that's how it has to be administered, is by its own board. You are establishing that entity, and it has its own board. This is not Beaverhead EMS.
No,
This
I
is an
get that.
ambulance district.
But when you read on with the way it's written here, 7-11-1021 provides where a special district is to be governed by a separate board. So that means there's got to be another board
No.
that is telling the
No,
district
this
board.
is all this is doing is telling you what this board is. The board of the ambulance district. You're taking it one step too far, Matt. I mean, this is saying back here, there is a board. Originally, when we started this, the commissioners were going to just appoint the board of Beaverhead EMS as the board of the ambulance district. We didn't want that, nor do I think we could do that.
Okay.
Because that did not allow for an election of a separate board. So the fact that it says a separate board, either the commissioners run it, which they don't want to do, or there is a separate board, which is done through election. That's the separate board reference. It's because the commissioners don't want to administer this district. That was the discussion we had with them as well, that they did not want to run it.
I'm still having a hard time understanding that. And it's not, probably not
Well, I'll
the way
tell
you're
you what.
delivering it.
Well, no, but when whoever rewrote this statute for establishing a special district
Yeah.
should be shot.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that.
It is asinine what they did to it. And then it used to be that you could have a special ambulance or a special district election at any election that was held in the county. But the greater mind that decided to do this decided that it needed to be held at the same time as a school election.
Right.
Because they would get more people to vote on it, which is absolutely the opposite. I feel the opposite of what they're going to get. Yeah, it's nuts.
So when it talks about the manager then, who does the manager report to?
The manager is Beaverhead EMS.
Okay, so
Manager.
they report solely to that group? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And in not theoretically, but in reality, is accountable to this other ambulance district board for spending funds. Because the manager is going to be the one that's going to be doing the hiring and firing, and making sure that we have the employees necessary to fill them. So in that way, he's going to have to report, he's going to have to account to this board that the funds are being spent correctly, as are we, the board of the ambulance.
Okay. So we're still on that page there where we got the whereas. Montana Code 7-11-1021.
Okay.
All right, turn that page. Turn the next page. Which should have a signature at the bottom, John H. Jackson Chair. Okay, line item 10. The Ambulance District Board may employ personnel to assist in its functions. Can you expound on that?
Oh, here? So if the ambulance district board needed, if there was such a massive amount of money coming through there that they needed an accountant, they could hire an accountant. If they needed an attorney, they could hire an attorney.
Okay.
If they needed a bookkeeper, just to keep track, like, I suspect, Fire District 2. Fire District 2 needed somebody to actually do the bills and pay the checks and whatnot, they could hire that person.
Okay, all right. And I think that was all I had.
Okay.
So thank you.
You bet. And if you find the person that changed the statute,
Shoot.
No, don't.
Just do it in the county, so you get some revenue.
You erase that part of it.
Strike that.
Strike that.
Yeah, you don't want to say things like that on public because 10 years down the road, you might run for Congress and it'll come back.
And there would be, yeah.
Yeah,
Any other questions?
thanks for letting me use that.
Call for the question.
Questions be called for to recommend to, what was that again, to have the,
Send post for a referendum, isn't it?
yeah, to say that they put it on for a vote, or whatever it was.
We support it going forward.
Support it to go to a referendum or a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay.
Thank you,
Gene, thank you for all the information.
Yeah.
Gene.
Yeah.
That concludes.
Just a question, what do you need now? Since the vote, is it good enough? Can you say, or do I have to write a letter?
Yeah, we'll do something that, we've got to hit the road as far as getting the word out what we're doing for the questions that have come up, and make sure that everybody's clear on what it is we're doing. So one of the things we can say is obviously the commissioners supported this, they sent it to the referendum, or the commissioner sent the referendum, the city supported this. So we'll get your names out.
Supported it for a vote.
For a vote, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Health and welfare, Mr. Schwant.
No health and welfare meeting for the city, however, the county city health board did meet today. A very retro meeting. Basically, anything happens in the future, open communication and as many routes and arenas that we can get that out there to the general public. And surely we had 259 through the first clinic last Friday. A very good number. We have 4 active cases. This Friday they do another 250, and next Friday will be the last 250 through the clinic. So a very good meeting today for the City County Health Board, and I have to say thank you to the middle school for their venue.
That was a nice place.
Yeah, even with the chimes.
Yeah, you heard that, and I forgot all about that. That's really the school bell saying you're changing class or something. Or bathroom break, one of the two. That's right.
You wanted to get up and take
Get ready, walk out of my walker. Okay, thank you. Cemetery Committee, Matt Kenworthy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had no meeting, no minutes, nothing to report.
Parks Committee, Ms. O'Rourke.
Yes, in your packet are the January 27th minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Dan, seconded by Russ. Discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called for to approve the January 27th, 2021 meeting minutes of the Parks Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous. Got anything to say about it, or just move on?
I think this meeting was the conclusion of, we did a bunch of signings and of memorandums of understanding as well as leases. So, and they were things that we had on the schedule to do last year at this time, and then COVID hit. So we're hoping that, I think maybe everyone knows that Little League opened up for sign-ups for T-ball and minors and majors. And so hopefully they'll get to have a season this year.
Okay. City Hall Committee, Mr. Graham. No meeting, no report. Street Alley, Mr. Nye.
Yes, we had a meeting Monday. We did review the engineering drawings for the Idaho Street and discuss the speed limits on the streets.
I'm sorry.
That's
Okay.
all I have to say.
Water and Sewer Committee, Mr. Hand.
Our next meeting will be Monday.
Yep.
I think from the last meeting, we have no minutes for, no report.
Thank you. Okay, public comment on items of significant public interest not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the city.
Mr. Mayor, starting next week on Tuesday, I'll be out of the state until Saturday, on Saturday. That's
So
the
that's like
excuse.
5 days. Yeah, you don't need, it's only if you're gonna be gone more than 10.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry. Nice to know, so in case I have to call a meeting, you won't be available. But you don't need a vote. This is only if you're gonna be out of town, out of the state over 10 days. Over 10 days in either one of the two.
I just know if it had to vote, I'd vote for it.
No comments?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
It's been moved by Dan, seconded by Russ to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.